The moment those words left my father's mouth at my sister's engagement party, I felt every pair of eyes in the room turn toward me. The crystal champagne flute in my hand suddenly felt like it weighed 100 pounds. Pathetic girl, still cleaning other people's houses. My father, Richard Harrison, stood there in his tailored Armani suit, surrounded by his country club friends, holding court the way he always did. His voice carried that special blend of disappointment and disdain he reserved just for me, his eldest daughter, Emma. "At least Sophia here," he gestured to my younger sister, dripping in diamonds that probably cost more than most people's cars, had the sense to go to law school and make something of herself. And now she's marrying David Blackwell, you know, the Blackwells who own half of Manhattan. I saw Sophia smirk, adjusting her 5-carat engagement ring so it caught the light just right. She'd always been Daddy's favorite. The golden child who followed the path he'd laid out, Yale, Harvard Law, then a position at a prestigious firm where she met David Blackwell, Roman III, heir to a real estate empire. And me, I was the family disappointment. The daughter who dropped out of Princeton to play maid, as my father put it. Still driving around in that embarrassing van with your little cleaning supplies. Dad continued, warming to his favorite subject. "What was it you call your business? Sparkle and Shine Cleaning Services?" He laughed, and his friends joined in. "My daughter, the Princeton dropout who chose mops over MBAs. I took a slow sip of champagne, maintaining eye contact with him over the rim of my glass. If only he knew. "Richard, darling," my mother, Victoria, touched his arm lightly. "Perhaps we should discuss something more pleasant. This is Sophia's special day." But Dad was on a roll now. He'd had just enough scotch to really get going. You know what's pathetic? Having a daughter who had every opportunity, the best schools, the best connections, and threw it all away to scrub toilets. Do you have any idea how embarrassing it is when my colleagues ask what my eldest daughter does? I set my glass down on a nearby table with deliberate care. "What do you tell them, Dad?" he snorted. "I tell them you're, between opportunities, taking some time to find yourself. Certainly not that you're on your hands and knees cleaning up after people who actually made something of themselves." "Like Mrs. Chen?" I asked casually. He blinked. "What?" "Mrs. Chen, you know, wife of the Chen Banking Group CEO. I clean her penthouse every Tuesday and Thursday. Lovely woman. She makes the most amazing tea." Dad's face reddened. "You clean for the Chens?" "Oh yes, and the Rothschilds, you know, the ones with that beautiful estate in the Hamptons. I handle their city residents. They just referred me to the Vanderbilts last week." I paused, watching his expression shift from disdain to confusion. Funny how these wealthy families all seem to know each other, isn't it? Sophia stepped forward, her designer heels clicking on the marble floor. "Please, you're still just a maid, Emma. It doesn't matter whose toilets you're scrubbing." I smiled at my sister. "You're absolutely right, Sophia. It doesn't matter whose toilets I'm scrubbing. What matters is why they keep recommending me to their billionaire friends." My father scoffed. "Because you're cheap labor." "Actually," I pulled out my phone, "it's because of this." I opened my banking app and set it on the table in front of him. I watched as his eyes scanned the screen, his expression shifting from smug superiority to shock, then disbelief. This has to be fake," he stammered. "7 million in checking," I said conversationally. "Another 15 in investments. Oh, and I just closed on my 8th property last week, a little brownstone on the Upper East Side. Nothing fancy, just 4 stories, private garden. You know how it is." The room had gone completely silent. Even the catering staff had stopped moving. But how?" Sophia grabbed my phone, her perfectly manicured nails tapping at the screen as if she could make the numbers change. "This is impossible. You clean houses." "I own a cleaning empire," I corrected. "Started with just me and a mop 5 years ago. Now I have teams in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and we're expanding to the Hamptons next month. 42 employees, all making above living wage with benefits." My mother sank into a nearby chair. "Emma, darling, why didn't you tell us?" I looked at my family, my father, who hadn't spoken to me without condescension in 5 years, my sister, who had made a sport of humiliating me at every family gathering, my mother, who had stood by silently through it all. "Tell you what?" I asked. "That your pathetic daughter built a multi-million-dollar business from scratch. That the embarrassment to the Harrison name now has a client list that reads like the Forbes 500. That while you were all looking down on me for getting my hands dirty, I was building something real. I picked up my phone and slipped it back into my purse. But here's the thing, none of those millionaires and billionaires ever treated me the way my own family has. Mrs. Chen. She recommended me to 5 of her friends because she said I have exceptional attention to detail and unmatched integrity. The Rothschilds. They gave me a $50,000 bonus last Christmas because I noticed a leak in their wine cellar that saved their collection worth millions. I straightened my simple black dress, the same one Sophia had mocked earlier for being off the rack. You see, Dad, while you were teaching Sophia that success means marrying rich and looking down on honest work, I learned something different. I learned that there's no shame in getting your hands dirty. I learned that the wealthiest people in this city value hard work, discretion, and excellence regardless of what form it takes. I walked over to the bar and retrieved my coat. Oh, and Sophia. That brownstone I mentioned, it's right next door to your future in-laws. In fact, Mrs. Blackwell already asked if I'd consider selling it to them for their daughter. Apparently, she thinks it would be perfect for David's sister when she moves back from London. The color drained from my sister's face. You live next door to the Blackwells. Well, I will once the renovations are complete. Italian marble for all 6 bathrooms, hand-carved mahogany library. You know, the usual. I shrugged on my coat. But don't worry, I promise not to embarrass you by being seen cleaning my own home. I have people for that now. As I headed for the door, my father finally found his voice. Emma, wait. We should talk about this. Perhaps there are some opportunities we could explore together. The Harrison name combined with your success. I turned back one last time. The Harrison name? Dad, I dropped that from my business cards 3 years ago. Emma Stone, CEO of Sparkle and Shine Enterprises, has a much better ring to it, don't you think? Especially since my clients know me as the woman who turned down a buyout offer from Mary Maids for 9 figures because I refused to compromise on employee wages. The shock on their faces was priceless. 9 figures? Sophia whispered. But hey, I said, opening the door, I'm just a pathetic girl who cleans other people's houses, right? Enjoy the party. And Sophia, congratulations on your engagement. The Blackwells are lovely people, though between you and me, Mrs. Blackwell mentioned she's not entirely convinced you're marrying David for the right reasons. Something about a prenup disagreement. I left them standing there in stunned silence. As I walked to my car, not the beat-up van Dad imagined, but a sleek Tesla Model S, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Mrs. Chen. Emma, darling, I just heard the most extraordinary rumor at the Waldorf Charity Gala. Someone's saying you're Richard Harrison's daughter. The same Richard who's been telling everyone his eldest is a struggling artist in Europe. Do tell I love a good family drama. Also, the Astors want to know if you have availability next month. Their butler quit, and they need someone trustworthy to oversee the estate cleaning. Usual premium rates, of course. I smiled as I got into my car. Let them all talk. While my family was busy judging my choices, I'd built something they never saw coming. And the best part, I did it all without their approval, their connections, or their precious Harrison name. As I drove past the windows of the party venue, I caught a glimpse of my family through the glass. Dad was gesturing wildly, probably trying to explain to his friends how his disappointment of a daughter was actually a secret millionaire. Sophia looked like she'd swallowed a lemon, no doubt recalculating her position as the family success story. And Mom was on her phone, probably trying to call me. My phone rang, then rang again. Text messages started flooding in from Dad, Emma, we need to discuss family business opportunities. From Sophia, you could have told me, I had no idea you were. Can we have lunch? From Mom, darling, why don't you come back? We should celebrate your success properly. I turned off my phone and headed home to my Upper West Side penthouse, the one with Central Park views that I'd paid for in cash last year. The same week, Dad had sent me a condescending email about getting my life together. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's success that comes from doing exactly what everyone told you not to do. And tomorrow I had a 9 a.m. with Mrs. Vanderbilt. She wanted to discuss not just cleaning services, but potentially investing in my expansion to Chicago. Turns out, when you build a reputation for excellence, whether in boardrooms or bathrooms, the right people notice. But my family wouldn't know about that meeting, or the contract I was about to sign with a major hotel chain, or the cleaning supplies line I was launching next spring. They'd lost the privilege of knowing my business the day they decided I was pathetic for choosing my own path. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. Let them finally understand that sometimes the person you look down on is standing on ground so much higher than your own, you just can't see it from where you are. I may have started with a mop and a bucket, but I built an empire. And I did it all while they were too busy looking down their noses to notice what was right in front of them. The pathetic girl who cleans houses. She's doing just fine. More than fine, actually. She's doing phenomenally. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls and twice as many text messages. My family's sudden interest in my life was almost amusing. Almost. I ignored them all and headed to my meeting with Mrs. Vanderbilt at the St. Regis. As I walked through the lobby in my tailored Chanel suit, yes, the same off-the-rack style Sophia had mocked, except this one was custom-made, I spotted a familiar face at the bar. David Blackwell, Roman 3, my future brother-in-law. He did a double-take when he saw me. Emma Harrison? Stone, I corrected, extending my hand. Emma Stone, and you must be David. Congratulations on your engagement. He shook my hand, still looking confused. Sorry, Sophia said you were. I mean, she described you as pathetic, embarrassing, a maid, I smiled. All accurate, depending on your perspective. But you're meeting with my grandmother, I raised an eyebrow. Mrs. Vanderbilt is your grandmother. Great aunt, actually. She texted me this morning, said she was meeting with someone who might be interested in the Chicago property. That's you. Before I could respond, an elegant woman in her 70s approached us. Vivian Vanderbilt carried herself with the kind of grace that came from old money and good breeding. Emma, darling, she kissed both my cheeks. And David, what a lovely surprise. I didn't know you two were acquainted. We're about to become family, David explained. I'm engaged to Emma's sister, Sophia. Mrs. Vanderbilt's perfectly sculpted eyebrows rose. Is that so? Emma, you never mentioned your sister was marrying into the Blackwell family. I shrugged. It never came up during our discussions about the Chicago expansion. She studied me for a moment, then smiled. No, I suppose it wouldn't have. You're remarkably focused on business, aren't you? It's one of the things I admire about you. She turned to David. Your fiancé is very fortunate to have Emma as a sister. This young woman built a service empire from nothing. Do you know she turned down a buyout offer from 9 figures? David finished, his voice faint. Sophia mentioned it last night. After the party, she was upset. Mrs. Vanderbilt laughed. I imagine she was. Well, David, if you'll excuse us, Emma and I have some rather significant business to discuss. We're looking at a potential $15 million investment for her Chicago expansion. David's eyes widened. $15 million. Oh, that's just the initial investment, Mrs. Vanderbilt said airily. If the Chicago launch goes as well as her New York operations, we're looking at a potential $50 million valuation within 2 years. Emma has quite the business model. Premium services, exceptional staff treatment, and a client list that, well, let's just say when the Rockefellers, Kennedys, and Gettys all use the same cleaning service, you know you're onto something special. She led me toward the private dining room, then paused. Oh, and David. Do give your mother my best. Tell her I'm still waiting for her to return my call about the brownstone. Emma and I were just discussing it yesterday. Prime location, beautiful renovation plans, though I must say, I'm rather hoping Emma decides to keep it for herself. It would be lovely having her as a neighbor. As we walked away, I could feel David's stare burning into my back. I wondered how long it would take him to call Sophia. Not long, as it turned out. We were halfway through our breakfast meeting when my silenced phone lit up with Sophia's name. Then Dad's. Then Mom's. Then a number I didn't recognize, which was probably Dad calling from his office line. Mrs. Vanderbilt noticed. Family? Family, I confirmed. Difficult relationship. You could say that. They just discovered last night that their embarrassment of a daughter is actually quite successful. Now they're adjusting their perspective. She set down her coffee cup with a precise clink. Ah, one of those families. Well, my dear, let me give you some advice from someone who's seen her share of family drama. Money has a peculiar way of revealing people's true characters. It doesn't change people, it simply amplifies who they already are. And what do you think it's revealed about my family? Her smile was sharp. That they valued the appearance of success over actual achievement, that they mistook honest work for failure, and most tellingly, that they only see your worth now that it can be measured in dollars. I thought about that as we discussed the Chicago plans. Mrs. Vanderbilt was right. My success hadn't changed who my family was, it had simply revealed it. After our meeting, I finally checked my messages. They were exactly what I expected, Dad. We should discuss integrating your business with the family portfolio. Mom, darling, I've already told everyone at the club about your success. Sophia, can you believe David's great-aunt is your investor? We need to talk. There was also a new message from David. I think we should talk before you speak with Sophia. There are things you should know. Intriguing, I called him back. Emma, he answered immediately. Thank you for calling, I wanted to apologize. For what? For believing everything Sophia told me about you. She's painted quite a picture over the years. The family disappointment, the college dropout who couldn't hack it, the maid who. He paused. Well, you know what she said. I can imagine. The thing is, after seeing you today, talking to my great-aunt, I'm starting to wonder what else Sophia hasn't been honest about. I stayed silent, letting him continue. Did you know she told everyone you were cut off financially because you dropped out, that you clean houses because you're desperate for money? I was cut off, I said mildly. 5 years ago, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. She also said you've been trying to get back into the family's good graces, that you've been begging your father for a job at his firm. I laughed at that one. David, I make more in a month than my father makes in a year. Why would I want to work for him? There was a pause. That's what I'm starting to realize, and it's making me question. Well, everything. David, can I be frank? Please. Your family's wealth makes my family's look like pocket change. Sophia has always been strategic about relationships. If you're having doubts, trust your instincts. Funny you should mention that. My mother's been saying the same thing, especially after the prenup discussion. Ah, yes, I heard about that. From my great-aunt. From Mrs. Blackwell herself. She mentioned it when she was showing me around the neighborhood. Your mother is remarkably candid when she's comfortable with someone. He sighed. She likes you. She's mentioned several times that she wishes, well, that you were marrying me instead. An awkward laugh. Something like that. Though after learning what your family put you through, I understand why you might not be interested in joining another one anytime soon. David, I need to go. I have 3 more meetings today, but can I give you some advice? Please. Pay attention to how people treat those they think can't benefit them. It's the most honest glimpse of character you'll ever get. After we hung up, I thought about that conversation all the way to my next meeting. It was with a potential new client, a tech billionaire who'd just bought a compound in the Hamptons. His assistant had mentioned he was looking for a service that could maintain multiple properties with absolute discretion. I arrived at his Manhattan office to find my father. He was sitting in the waiting area, clearly there for his own meeting. When he saw me, he jumped up. Emma, hello, Dad. What are you doing here? I have a meeting, his eyes narrowed. With whom? Before I could answer, the receptionist called out, Miss Stone, Mr. Zhang will see you now. My father's face went white. Zhang, as in William Zhang, the tech mogul? The same. But I've been trying to get a meeting with him for months. He's looking for legal representation for his new acquisitions. And I'm here about maintaining those acquisitions, I said smoothly. If you'll excuse me. Wait, he grabbed my arm. Emma, you could put in a good word for me. For the family firm, we could work together on this. I looked down at his hand on my arm, then back at his face. The same face that had sneered at me just last night. The same man who'd called me pathetic in front of a room full of people. Dad, I said quietly, you've spent 5 years telling everyone I'm an embarrassment, that I'm wasting my potential, that I'm pathetic, and now you want me to put in a good word for you. He had the grace to look slightly ashamed. I may have been hasty in my judgments. No, Dad, you were exactly who you've always been, someone who only values people for what they can do for you. I removed his hand from my arm. And right now, I have a meeting with someone who values what I've actually accomplished, not what my last name is. I walked into Mr. Zhang's office, leaving my father in the waiting room. The meeting went exceptionally well. Not only did I secure the contract for all 5 of his properties, but he also mentioned he was interested in investing in my business. "I've heard excellent things about you from the Chens and the Vanderbilts," he said. "They say you've built something remarkable, ethical, efficient, and profitable. That's a rare combination." As we shook hands at the end of the meeting, he added, "By the way, there was a gentleman in the waiting area asking my receptionist about you. Says he's your father?" "Unfortunately," Mr. Zhang smiled. "Family can be complicated. I come from nothing myself, built everything from scratch. My relatives only started claiming me after my first billion. Funny how that works, isn't it?" "Hilarious," I agreed. When I left the office, my father was still there, still waiting, still hoping I'd throw him a bone. I walked past him without a word. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Sophia. "How could you?" She demanded without preamble. "How could I what?" "David's calling off the engagement." I sat down on my terrace, looking out over Central Park. "And that's my fault because—" "He met with you. His great-aunt told him things. You poisoned him against me." "Sophia, I barely spoke to David. If he's calling off the engagement, that's between you two." "This is because you're jealous. You've always been jealous of me." I almost laughed. "Sophia, I have everything I could ever want. A successful business, financial freedom, and the respect of people I admire. What exactly am I supposed to be jealous of? I was going to be a Blackwell. And now you're not. Life goes on. You ruined everything." "No, Sophia, you ruined everything. You've spent years lying about me, mocking me, trying to make yourself look better by making me look worse. Did you really think the truth would never come out?" She hung up on me. I set my phone down and picked up my wine glass. The sunset was painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. It was beautiful. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Mrs. Chen. "Darling, the most delicious gossip. Apparently, your sister's engagement is off and the Blackwells are thrilled. Mrs. Blackwell is hosting a small dinner party next week to celebrate, to commiserate, of course. You're invited. She specifically requested you, something about wanting to introduce you to her nephew Gregory. He's single, Harvard MBA, and according to her, needs to meet a woman with actual substance. Shall I tell her you'll attend?" I smiled and typed back. "Tell her I'd be delighted." Another text came through, this one from Mrs. Vanderbilt. "Chicago investment approved. Full $15 million. Also, heard about your sister's broken engagement. David's a lovely boy, but he's better off. As are you. Sometimes the best families are the ones we choose, not the ones we're born into. Dinner Thursday. I want you to meet my granddaughter. She's looking to start her own business and could use a mentor." Then one from David. "Thank you for your advice. I saw how Sophia treated the waitstaff at dinner last week. Never noticed before. You were right about character. Hope we can still be friends." I responded to all of them, then sat back to enjoy my wine and the view. 5 years ago, I'd lost my family's approval and financial support. I'd been called pathetic, embarrassing, a disappointment. Now I had a new family. One made up of clients who became friends, mentors who became investors, and people who valued hard work over headlines. Tomorrow, I had breakfast with the CEO of a hotel chain interested in contracting my services nationally. Lunch with my design team to review the brownstone renovations. And dinner with my newest client, a former president who needed someone discreet to handle his New York residence. My phone rang one more time. Dad again. This time I answered. "Emma, please, we need to talk. The family needs you." "No, Dad. The family needs my money and my connections. There's a difference." "That's not fair. We're your family. We've always been there for you." "Where were you when I was working 18-hour days to build my business? Where were you when I was scrubbing floors at 3 a.m. because I couldn't afford to hire help yet? Where were you when I landed my first major client?" Silence. "You were busy telling everyone I was a failure, an embarrassment, pathetic." "I was wrong," he said quietly. "Yes, you were, but not about my success. You were wrong about what matters. You taught Sophia that marriage and status were more important than integrity and hard work. You taught both of us that our worth was measured by our bank accounts and social connections. The difference is I learned better. Emma, goodbye, Dad. Don't call again unless you want to hire my services, and just so you know, family doesn't get a discount." I hung up and blocked his number. Looking out over the city, I raised my glass in a toast to the pathetic girl who still cleaned other people's houses, to the embarrassment who became an empire, to the dropout who dropped in on her own terms, most of all, to the sweet vindication of proving them all wrong. My phone buzzed one last time. Mrs. Blackwell, Emma, dear, I just spoke with Victoria. I understand there's been some family drama. If you need a mother figure who actually appreciates you, my door is always open. Also, did Vivian tell you about Gregory? He's flying in from London next week. I think you two would hit it off splendidly. No pressure, of course. Just think how delightful it would be if you ended up a Blackwell after all. I couldn't help but laugh. Life had a wonderful sense of irony. The pathetic girl who cleaned houses, she was doing more than fine. She was thriving. And the best part, she did it all on her own terms.